4 years ago, Ukraine was begging for weapons, calling allies at midnight, sending delegations to capitals that were still debating whether to provide anti-tank missiles. The entire geopolitical weight of the relationship was in one direction. Ukraine needed everything, and the world decided how much to give. In March 2026, that relationship reversed for the first time. The United States of America sent Ukraine a formal request for military assistance. Ukraine evaluated the request, approved it, and deployed 201 experts and thousands of combat-proven interceptor drones to American military bases in the Middle East. The supplicant just became the supplier, and Zelenskyy is making sure that every government in the region understands exactly what that means. The context in which this reversal occurred matters as much as the reversal itself. Operation Epic Fury opened with 6 American military personnel killed, likely by Shahed-type drones, according to Euronews, in the first hours of combat. The United States, with the most advanced and expensive air defense systems on Earth, was burning through Patriot missiles at a rate of 800 in 3 days. At $4 million per missile, that is $3.2 billion in 3 days. Zelenskyy confirmed this figure publicly. For all of America's military power, it was being beaten by an economic equation. Iran does not need its drones to reach their targets. It just needs the United States to keep firing expensive missiles to stop them. Every swarm Iran launches costs Iran at most $250,000 for 5 Shaheds. The interception costs America $20 million. The trap was working. Ukraine had been living inside this trap since 2022. Iran began supplying Shaheds to Russia shortly after Putin's invasion, as Le Monde reported, and subsequently signed a licensing deal allowing Russia to produce its own variants domestically. Ukraine has been intercepting, analyzing, and defeating these exact drones for 4 years. On March 5th, Zelenskyy announced that the United States had made a formal request for specific support against Shaheds in the Middle East. He had already given instructions to provide the necessary means and deploy Ukrainian specialists. By March 17th, 201 Ukrainian experts were confirmed as operating in Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates, with 34 more ready to deploy. The interceptor drones they brought, principally the Sting, which the new Voice of Ukraine describes as an FPV interceptor with an 80 to 90% hit rate, a production cost of $1,000, and an export price quoted by Reuters at around $2,000, had already proven themselves against the same Shaheds now being launched against American bases. The United States was not acquiring a new technology, it was acquiring 4 years of experience. Quick note, you're watching Iron Brief. If you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time. The geopolitical architecture Zelenskyy built around this deployment is as significant as the deployment itself. He did not frame it as charity. He did not frame it as alliance obligation. He framed it as a strategic transaction with explicit terms. On March 17th, Zelenskyy stated that Ukraine was ready to offer similar deals to all reliable partners, from practical drone cooperation to future defense alliances, and that he did not think anyone would want to leave Ukraine's war-proven strength and capability outside their security arrangements. He added that if someone did choose to leave it outside, that would not be wise. The language is precise. Ukraine has something the United States and its allies need. Ukraine is offering it. And in return, Ukraine expects reciprocity in the form of advanced weapons, air defense systems, or diplomatic support in the ongoing peace negotiations where the Trump administration is attempting to broker terms between Kyiv and Moscow. The New York Times analyzed this dynamic on March 9th, so noting that Ukraine's interceptor deployment was a direct attempt to build credit with Washington at a moment when Kyiv's standing with the Trump administration was uncertain. But the leverage Zelenskyy is building extends well beyond Washington. In the Gulf, Ukraine is transforming what were previously humanitarian and diplomatic relationships into defense partnerships with structural depth. Saudi Arabia delivered $400 million in aid to Ukraine in 2023. Qatar has served as a quiet mediator in returning children separated by the war. These were gestures of goodwill. What Ukraine is offering now is something more durable, a defense relationship built on demonstrated capability, shared threat perception, and mutual economic interest. The Arab Weekly assessed Ukraine as positioning itself not merely to sell weapons to Gulf nations, but to create dependencies that generate ongoing influence with partners Putin never expected Ukraine to have. The argument Ukraine is making in Riyadh and Abu Dhabi is the same one it is making in Washington. Russia supplied the technology that Iran is now using against your territory. Ukraine is here to stop it. Choose your partner accordingly. The Russia dimension sharpens this argument considerably. According to reporting referenced by Ukraine and its allies, Russia has been providing intelligence and drone technology to Iran during Operation Epic Fury. This creates a binary choice that Zelenskyy is exploiting with precision. On one side, Russia, claiming to seek peace with the West, while simultaneously helping arm the country that killed 6 American soldiers in the first hours of a major military operation. On the other side, Ukraine, under active attack from Russian forces, still deploying its own experts to American bases in the Middle East, offering up to 1,000 interceptor drones per day at a cost that makes strategic sense for every buyer. The contrast is not subtle, and it is landing in exactly the capitals where it needs to land. The economics of Ukraine's interceptor deployment are creating a second dimension of leverage that operates independently of the diplomatic one. According to Business Insider, Ukraine has offered to supply the United States and its Middle Eastern partners with up to 1,000 Sting interceptors per day. At the Reuters export price of $2,000 per unit, that is $2 million per day, $730 million per year from interceptor exports alone. Ukraine's National Security and Defense Council confirmed production capacity of 800,000 interceptors annually at current funding levels, up from 100,000 in 2025. If partner nations fund the production increase, the supply can scale further. This is not simply a defense cooperation arrangement. It is the foundation of a defense export industry that Ukraine is building in real time, using a war as its research and development program. But Ukraine's story is not exceptional. It is the rule of what happens when a country that has been forced to develop asymmetric capabilities under existential pressure discovers that those capabilities are exactly what the most powerful nations on Earth cannot replicate quickly enough on their own. The same pattern is visible in every domain of the Ukraine war. The drone technology that Ukraine built to survive Russian Shaheds is now protecting American soldiers. The naval drone capability that Ukraine built to contest the Black Sea is now operating off the coast of Libya. The robotic systems that Ukraine built to reduce its own casualty rate are now being watched by every major military in the world. Ukraine did not plan to become a global defense technology leader. It was forced to become one, and Zelenskyy is ensuring that the geopolitical benefits of that status are maximized at precisely the moment when Ukraine needs them most. The question that Russia and Iran cannot answer publicly is the same one. What happens to a strategy built on technological and economic asymmetry when the country you are fighting turns out to have developed the exact counter to that asymmetry and is now selling it to your enemies? Iran's drone strategy assumed that no one in the region had 4 years of experience defeating Shaheds at scale, at low cost, with proven systems. Ukraine does. Russia assumed that its support for Iran would destabilize the American-led coalition without direct attribution. Ukraine is making that attribution explicit in every capital that will listen. Both calculations have been wrong. and Zelenskyy is not finished making them pay for it. If you want to see the technical engineering behind the Sting interceptor and how its cost structure works, check out our breakdown of Ukraine's interceptor drone program. And if you want to understand how Ukraine's Libya operations connect to this broader strategic repositioning, our geopolitical analysis will show you the full picture of Ukraine's expanding global footprint. Subscribe to Iron Brief so you never miss what comes next.